wow. I'm thinking this took a year and months and months and months to write, and then rewrites, and then he had a table in the round to help him with the dialogue because it's so intricate. Tell me it took years and years, so we're not all jealous of him.
Because this was a question that we had a group of students from Southwest College, and one of the questions was, how long did it take you to write it? And I guess I should be a little embarrassed in the fact that it took me a little over 3 weeks. It's the quickest.
We're all jealous.
But I must say, it's the quickest that I've ever written anything, and I think because I was thinking about it for so long, and I was doing other projects and didn't get a chance to get it out there. So when I actually decided to sit down and write it, it just came out.
Okay, so you're vindicating my ego a little bit.
Yeah. No, it's not that I'm some mad genius who can just sit down and write plays in 3 weeks. This was very unusual for something like that to be written that quickly.
Wow, I mean, I was just floored. Excellent work.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. So, how would you define the show? Like I mentioned earlier, I'm thinking brilliant, kind of sort of psychological thriller. Am I off base when I'm thinking that? Were you thinking that when you were putting it together?
No. I usually, it's like having a child. Mm-hmm. And as you raise the child eventually takes on its own personality, becomes its own person. And you sit back and say, okay, well, I raised it right, but that child will ultimately become its own man or its own woman. And that's what all of my works are like. I'm never quite sure how they're going to turn out. I didn't expect it to have as many twists and turns in it that it ended up having. It was pretty much, it started off as a pretty straightforward show. And as I continued to write it, it just started writing itself. Really? And telling itself what the twists and turns were. And I said, oh, okay, well, thank you, Mr. Paper, for giving me that.
Now you really sound like a creative type, because I've heard creative individuals really say that. Like this thing kind of sort of evolves itself, right? It kind of sort of grows on its own.
Sure.
I really want to ask you what that means. Like, how do you just sit down and things are growing on their own? What do you mean growing on its own? Give me a sense of that.
Well, when you put two characters in a room and one character says one thing to another person and they exchange in this conversation, I mean, the one character says good morning, and the other character says, what's so good about it? Mm-hmm. Okay, well then, how does that? There are 50,000 ways to answer it. Right. It's good because I sucked your dick last night. That's one answer.
We bleep that, right?
I'm sorry. Is this a?
I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Sally. It's all right.
Yeah.
It's GBM.
Or I mean, and the thing is that I always like to find the most fascinating things that people say to each other. Sure. Once you get past the mundane good morning and what's so good about it, well, I want a better comeback. Sure. Say, I'll take you in the bedroom and I'll show you what's so good about it.
Ooh.
And then what is the next way? Say, well, you did take me in the bedroom and it wasn't that good. Okay, well, your sister didn't say that.
Wow.
And then you just go on and on and on. And if you keep that kind of exchange going, the next thing you know, you've written a whole tete-a-tete, and it's gone into a whole direction. Then you find out that the guy was fucking his father's brother and this and that, and all that kind of grows. I said, well, I didn't sit down here with the intention to write that. Mm-hmm. But it ends up going in that direction when you allow your mind to be imaginative enough to take it in any direction. Right. Then you don't know where it's going to go. Right. And it just happens.
Like you start writing something and other ideas come, and you have branches that you can go out on, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
And I always tell writers all the time, never be afraid. Because the thing is, if it's too out there, if it's too wild, you can always go back and clean it up. Mm-hmm. No one's going to see it but you. Okay. And remember, since God sees you jerking off, so you don't have to be embarrassed over the fact that He knows what you're writing.
Ooh, don't say that, because he's looking at a whole bunch of stuff going on. So, Torry, let's talk about what's going on with you back here. So, like I was saying earlier, you have this natural. The character requires this kind of sort of reserve, this inner reserve, but this strength that you are able to just bring on. It's really brilliant. I love that. It seems as though you were kind of sort of like that naturally. What did you draw on to get this character up to where it needed to be, or is it kind of sort of really close to who you are?
I think I found through the work that I did with Stanley, a lot of intense discussion and backstory work, like stuff you'll never even hear about in the play that we discussed, and just good direction. But I did find also that yes, it is a lot of a lot of. That's I think one thing that in most roles you have to accept that you are capable of some of the same things, or you do have some of the same tendencies sometimes, but not necessarily always to the same extreme. But
Right. So basically, you're able to pull off of your other experiences and kind of sort of superimpose them on these. We've all been upset before. We've all had kind of sort of this wide range of emotions before that we can attribute to this, right? That's kind of sort of the actors.
Yeah.
That's the philosophy, the methodology to go about kind of sort of drawing.
And it's a
things in.
different motivation too, because I find like with my real life personality, I am more quiet and controlled because I'm afraid to let my temper go, out of fear of not being able to bring it back. But with
So
this
is
character,
therapeutic for you?
yeah, it is.
Because you let it go.
Yeah, but with
We're
this
all like,
character,
"Ah!"
I don't think he has any concept of controlling it or not controlling it. It just, it just goes where it goes. And
Well, I'll tell you, we really get that quiet inner thing going on with you. I mean, I picked it up right away. I was like, is this like character building or is this natural? So natural, like just a little whatever you would do in that space. It seems like it really doesn't match kind of sort of what you're going on to. So tell me, guys, what kind of obstacles did you have kind of sort of putting on the play? I understand you played it in North Hollywood. Now it's here. This stage is a little smaller. Tell us about the obstacles and kind of sort of putting this on in this kind of space. It's a lot more intimate. What do you think about that?
Well, we had to calibrate it a little lower because the audience is so close to us and everything. And one of the challenges I find is that the drama is so intense and gets very heated that we have to bring it down, or else we'll blow the audience out of the theater.
Right.
So we definitely had to change that up, and the movements can't be as big as they were in North Hollywood. And for me, I mean, me personally, one of the biggest challenges was because see, Torry originally produced the show in North Hollywood. This particular production is being produced here at the Florence Village Theater by Fatima Cortez, and an executive produced by Ron and Richard Harris, who are the owners of Lucy Florence, the twins. But initially, I was just going to be the writer-director, and we were looking for different actors to play the part of Mr. Drake. And we just couldn't find the right person, or the people that we wanted, they weren't available. So Torry ultimately asked me, would I step in and do the role? Now, I haven't done a stage acting role since 1986. I went out with a bang because I won the Image Award, the Best Actor Image Award in 1986, and that was the last role that I did as a stage actor.
He won the Best Actor Image Award.
But most of the stuff that I was doing was that I was writing. I started spending my time writing, producing, directing, and all kinds of other things. My 3 novels, got that out and everything. And sort of the acting thing sort of got away from me, especially the theatrical acting. And so it was just a little scary to like get back on stage again. But what I discovered was it was like riding a bicycle.
I must say, you are brilliant. You are brilliant as the lead. I mean,
the funny thing is I never would have thought that he would have done it. But every time I read the script, I heard his voice as Mr. Drake.
Right.
And it never even crossed my mind to even ask him like that. It's just not even an option because he, wouldn't do it.